Hello and welcome to this next installment of the embodiyou video cast. This is a series of videos designed to support you in connecting with practices that connect you with your most authentic self. And by authentic self, I just mean that brightest, happiest, most peaceful place that lives within each of us. And as you'll hear today, there are many ways in to that connection. I'm joined, really grateful to be joined today by Rabia Jamal. I met her in a yin yoga teacher training, and I discovered very quickly, she's like a fascia wizard. She's very knowledgeable, as well as just, radiant and bright. And I just love hanging out with her. So I hope you'll also enjoy that piece of this interview. So without much more ado, Rabia, I'll let you introduce yourself. I would love for you to just tell folks about you as a massage therapist and how that ties into yoga for you, and then we'll talk a little bit about your class. How's that sound?
Okay. Rabia Jamal, as you said, I'm a massage therapist and have been for about 14 years. So I'd consider that a pretty decent length of time for massage therapy. And yoga ties in everywhere. So I can say that everywhere. It first started as my self-care, so I could be fully present in my sessions and also take care of my body, because it does take a bit of work to do
Mhm.
massage therapy.
There's a lot of undoing that
So,
you're doing.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so that's the big thing. My body, my mind, with meditation, again, being present, being able to process the people that are coming through on the table and being able to hold that space for them. I have to be able to hold space for myself. So
Mhm. Mhm. It sounds like there's a lot that you're putting into um, of showing up in like
yeah,
a really full body mind way, body mind heart way for your clients that I would never dream of naming names. This isn't even where I live now, but I've been to a massage therapist that told me about themselves for a good half hour of my session. And I was like, I don't know if this is fully integrated. And like that yeah, I think that happens less. I think more massage therapists understand the importance of presence, but it sounds like you've connected to that and really you bring your whole self to a session, and you're taking care of yourself outside of sessions to be able to do that.
yeah. And that oscillated through the years, where I was really good at it and really bad, and back and forth until I could find something that was a little more middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so important to have that. When you're dealing in massage therapy, you never know what's going to be on your table,
Mm.
and you're dealing with the body in general. You never know what's going to erupt out of that. So, we tend not to think of our massage therapist as our therapist, but if your body's responding, your mind has to respond, and we're going to notice if you're talking or not talking, if you suddenly change from one to the other.
Mm.
And it's our responsibility to take note and adjust accordingly. So between your body giving a signal that, oh, maybe that's a little too much there, or that's too soon there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just, I get a lot of massage, and I've been with plenty of massage therapists that also, all of a sudden, I'm just like, why did your life come into my body all of a sudden?
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. It
Yeah.
does, when someone's touching you and talking to you, it goes right into your tissues. So now
Mm-hmm.
you're walking out with all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, gee, I could go for another massage, or I could.
You need a massage to recover from that massage. What just
Yeah,
happened? Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I think everybody's had that experience at least once. And, I think it's like we can be really loving and compassionate with like that person just being on that learning journey. Nobody can be like perfectly, like you said, you've come in and out of doing it well over the years. Like nobody can be completely on point at all times.
Because that's
And
life.
yeah, that's like, that's
We're
like what
people too,
yeah,
right?
we're humans. Like I love like laughing at the fact that we're humans, because like we're so silly. We take ourselves so seriously. And we just get wrapped up in here, which is why all these practices exist. It's why Embody You is called Embody You, is
Yeah.
that the body is so important, and it's so forgotten. We just like revere the head and the mind and the brain so much, not understanding that the mind actually lives throughout the body.
Yes.
And right,
Yes.
like if you
Absolutely.
can be aware of your big toe, then your mind is there too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We
but I'm curious to hear.
exist.
Oh, go ahead, please.
We just exist on a multitude of levels, and that's one of them. So when we ignore that, we're ignoring some part of ourselves, regardless of what we think of. Oh, the body is just this thing we inhabit. It's like, no, it's part of our awareness. It's one of the first things we become aware of when we're born. This is
Hmm.
the first thing we learn.
And then it's the first thing we forget, right?
Yeah.
Like when you
Well, and
say, like the
yeah,
sentence, the body is part of our awareness,
yeah.
I'm sure at least one listener is just going to go, oh, and that's going to be an aha for them. And so like I love hearing or seeing somebody just say, oh, like that, or experiencing that myself, of like a full body realization. um it's so common with so many people. When they first start meditating, for example, they don't even have body awareness because we've lost track of it. Right, I mean, how many people have you seen on your table who aren't really that dialed in to what's happening?
Oh, plenty. But
Yeah.
you accept people where they are. And that was the
Yeah.
conversation of like, maybe sometimes you could know the perfect treatment for a condition, but it's
Mm,
not the one for that person
right.
because they're not there yet.
Right.
So
Right. So that
that's also a
honoring.
learning curve that you have to be very aware. It's like, if this person comes in for this and oh, but I could do this, and you'll feel 100 times better in your body. If they're attached to their wounds, or if they're attached to that tension pattern, they're not going to let it go. And it may
Hmm.
take months or even years where they've developed other capacities and other habits, and even just like through continually reminding people to do their self-care,
Hmm.
then it's going to release, but not a moment before.
So I'm having an aha because I'm understanding the extent to which what I'm trained in is so similar. I'm trained in Hakomi, which is a somatic psychotherapy, and there's the same thing of inviting the client to witness what is happening, and there might be some things that you name and contact and see how they respond. And if they don't bite, and if they're not ready to see it, then you go really gently and you allow them to arrive there. And so
And
that's
it's the same with fascia.
okay. So say more. So what's fascia
It's the
for
same
people who
with
don't know what
fascia.
that is?
Fascia is like all of the connective tissue in your body, and it's literally its own organ that pretty much contains you. Literally, it's literally the stuff that holds your body together. Your bones hold you up, but without fascia, your bones aren't held.
I love that.
So there's just layer upon layer upon layer, just interacting with each other. And there's no real breaks in it. There's ways that we've come to understand, like, oh, this piece of fascia, is like tendinous, and it goes into this muscle and goes into that. But every muscle is surrounded by fascia. Every bone, every
Every
organ,
muscle
everything,
cell, right?
every
Like,
cell.
right.
So it's like it goes to the microscopic and the macroscopic of our body.
Hmm.
So, which is exciting. But what we know just in basic life is that if we're doing something repetitively, our body adapts, right? And that's it, because fascia is adapting. It's like, okay, well, if you want to hold this position for a long time, we're going to make it so we're just going to kind of shorten and tighten and make sure you can stay there, which is good for, exercise. It's good for learning and becoming proficient at like sports and at different things. But it's also bad when we're sitting for too long.
Before we hit record, we were talking about tech neck, where it's like, what is it? It's like you shrink down, but then like this, like
you do this like weird shrink down, but then your head comes forward and up because you're still trying to look. This is at a computer anyway.
This is terrible.
This is terrible.
So terrible.
So do that long enough,
and
your body says, okay, this is what we're doing now. So I'll adjust and keep you there.
Rabia, this is like when your mom says, if you make that face long enough, it's going to stay like that. Shit.
It's true.
Mom was right the whole time.
We have all the alternate muscles that can help us, but at times you'll know it's like that can be painful if we go too fast. If we suddenly, like, we never had back problems and all of a sudden I went to reach for something and and it went out. And it's like, yeah, because you already had the tension. You already had the story that was building up to this moment.
Right, like the slow motion.
Yeah.
Chaos,
and the way that we counteract that, and what I love, is through massage, through yin, through any movement. Actually, you're going to retrain the body. So the more directions you move in, the more time you take to actually sit with your nervous system, the more freedom you'll have.
So say more about that, sitting with your nervous system. What does that mean to you?
For me, and probably everything I've studied, but over the last 14 years, is that a lot of what I do, because let me tell you, as much as I love massage therapy and we can call it the most important thing, it's not. It's really just sitting with the nervous system. It's a conversation we're having with your nervous system.
Okay.
So we're trying to get you out of a stress, out of fight, flight, or freeze, out of whatever pattern you've been holding on to, and your nervous system is helps you decide that too. So it's that integration of everything in your body. So when we have, say, a car accident, say you have whiplash, and that never goes away. It never goes away, and your brain said this is unsafe. And even if you start to heal and correct, say, any joint dysfunction or muscular dysfunction, it will still say this is unsafe. So there are reasons that your body will still hold on. So it's like, oh, it's not safe for me to put my head down or to tuck my chin. It's like, oh no, but it is now. And you don't know that. So half of my work is saying it is safe now and it's okay, and calming the system into letting it go.
So you're saying, like, it's not that it never goes away, that's just your scenario, and that it can go away when you teach the body that safety.
Yeah, well, as long as the actual structure is healed, it can.
Right. Of course, yeah.
It can.
Yeah, we're not magic workers, but within the realm of the material world, we can do it. So yeah, I think I want to talk more about the structure of your yin and self massage class, and I know that as a massage therapist, you're already teaching your clients in person, and so online is a little bit different. But so I'd love to hear about how that takes place, and I'm talking about the embodiyou schedule. You'll be teaching Monday nights, this yin and self massage.
Okay, all right, so it's the same for me. It's the same for me because I have to draw only on what I know. And part of that is even the conversation around, hey, you're safe. And when you're safe. and it takes time. And what I love about yin is it gives you that time. It gives your fascia that time to go, oh, I can open up.
I love
It
that.
gives your mind that time. Oh, I'm safe in this to move again.
Mm, beautiful.
And that's where my classes really would go, is just to say, hey, let's take the time to do this. I'm going to be your massage therapist, except you're doing all the work.
I love that.
Let's take the time for sitting within ourselves. Let's take the time to allow the body to adjust. Let's take the time to even use some of those things that we know, like pressure, stress, points on our body that will actually help us relax. Let's
Mm,
take the time to actually do them, because that's essentially what people aren't doing.
right. Right. It's so easy to just be distracted and like pick up the phone, or especially now when everybody's kind of stuck inside, some more than others. I know people in Colombia and Spain who they are inside and that is it, which makes me really grateful for the freedoms that we have here. But if you're stuck, if you're cooped up with other people, or even if you're cooped up alone, it's easy to just get stuck up in here. Or have that sympathetic, you were saying, like that nervous system activation of just not being able to settle in. This is a
Yeah.
strange and stressful time.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of people dealing with trauma after this.
Yeah. 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 This is we've been talking about this like a collective trauma. And I don't think
Yeah.
that that's overstating it. It's especially, I mean, we all have a different effect, different impact, but
Mm-hmm.
there's
But
going to be a lot to
if we can
process.
take now to address it, to allow ourselves to come back into your body, to come back into this space, to use our restrictions or understand our restrictions are there for us and not against us,
Mm.
then we may be able to come out a little better.
Well, what I think is really important that, you've been talking about from the beginning is presence.
Mm-hmm.
And, being in the present moment is where trauma gets resolved. So what you're saying is sort of this like, not even, well, a little bit prophylactic trauma treatment. If you can be in the moment and find safety in the midst of all of this stress, you can find safety and stillness and presence in the midst of discomfort physically, then that just makes you way more resourced when you get off the mat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this is almost identical to the conversation I had with Melissa Clark about trauma-informed yoga that she'll be teaching. So as this, like embodiyou matchmaker, I can't wait for everybody to watch everybody else's interviews, because you'll see it's the same conversation, but different ways in. And, as you were starting to talk about, we don't take the time, we can slow down. I just was like, I just want to like go to your class. I just felt like I wanted to relax and like melt onto my mat, but we're not in class. But I think that's going to be the flavor that you're bringing of an invitation to slow the F down.
Yeah.
We're not doing
Even
much. We're
when
not
this is
slowed down
all
internally.
something else, when we get to somewhere else, we still have to do that. That was that middle ground I was talking about. I went up, I went down. It's like, but then I had to find the middle ground that said you still have to take care of yourself when things are up here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If things are down here, you still have to take care of yourself.
I love this.
So.
Okay, well, I'm looking at the time. I could hang out and talk with you about this stuff forever, but let's wind it up just to say that Rabia will be teaching yin and self massage Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern, and make time for yourself to slow the F down and settle into yourself. And she's just a really able and present practitioner that will support you in doing that. So thank you, Rabia.
You're welcome.